Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics, the show, the podcast where we create, inspire, and
Transform.
there you go. This is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way, a natural way to always make you feel better. And next to me, like always, my beautiful co host, Kia Baker.
Hi, everybody. It's Kia. I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast. I am the creator of another show called Women Warrior Stories. I'm a success coach at London Real Academy. You can check that out on YouTube, London Real. And I am super happy today.
Me too, Kia. Even I don't see anything, but I'm very happy.
Well, you can't see anything.
Well, I see very like fuzzy, like it's hard for me to read right now. And even I see you, but I'm not like the full way
Mm.
that we used to see.
So what happened? You had an eye exam?
I have an eye exam. They dilate my pupils or whatever, and it lasts like 8 hours. I think to 7 to 8 hours. So I still have a little bit.
Wow. Well, that's unfortunate because you won't be able to see how beautiful our guest is today.
No, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna see how beautiful she is.
So today, I wanted to do this series on cryptocurrency because I have been hearing so much about it. And
Yes,
I know that it's making a big impact in the way we all do business and live our lives in the very near future. I mean, it's already begun. And a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about when I mention like cryptocurrency. I mean, they know
right.
like maybe Bitcoin, but they don't really know what it is, and they don't really know everything that goes into it. And this is going to be a way for people to, do shopping, do everything. This is the wave of the future. And so I really feel like it's important that we help people to know more about it as a way of, giving back to the community that watches Hot Topics Live.
I'm not sure, but I hear that the government was not happy. They're not ready yet for that kind of coin and crypto. So there's a lot of people also in social media saying that crypto is a scam, that that's not true. There's all kind of comments, and it's like it's the same thing that happens when new things are coming. Like there's a lot
Hmm.
of people negative of that, and there's some people that are like, yeah, this is the future. So we need to learn and we need to open our ears and our eyes to see what's going on in the world right now.
Do you know what I think? I think it's about using your discernment, like educating
Yes.
yourself about it and making your own choice as to what's true for you or what you're willing to try. I mean, with anything, it's a risk. It's like the stock market. And a lot of people don't know much about that too. So, I mean, you have to not be what they call risk averse, and which means afraid to take a risk, right? Because
Right.
it can be a little bit of um, a new experience when you're giving your money to something that you don't really understand. So the thing is to understand it, to learn about it.
Right.
And we're not going to go super deep into it because we're not financial planners. However, my background, my education is in finance. And so I wanted to bring people on that could help out and share their information to get people started so they can research on their own.
So, Kia, we should do a disclaimer then about tonight. A disclaimer of the 18 and 18. If you are 18, you can stay, but you are below 18, you cannot stay here. And also, whatever opinion of our guests is not the same opinion of us, but we respect what they said and we support this platform for them to come and say what they think, and we respect that.
Absolutely. We absolutely respect their right to have their
Yes,
opinion, whether we agree or we disagree.
exactly.
So, yeah, I'm really excited for today.
Me too.
So, My friend Jay is here with us. She's in the green room and she's waiting for us to bring her in.
Okay.
And she is extraordinary. If you haven't seen her episode, the first one where she came and joined us, just go to our Hot Topics Live Facebook page and scroll back through the episodes, and you'll find Jay's episode. And it was a great one. So check that
Yes.
out. You'll get to know a little bit more about her. But she is actually a wife, a mother with a bunch of kids, and some chickens. I think she's chickens. And I think there's rabbits too. And so she's really extraordinary. Not only is she a mom, she is very well educated in finance, investments, and crypto. She is a new media mogul. She has a podcast. She has a YouTube channel. She has created this hub of extraordinary people with different branches. So we call it the tribes, right? And we'll talk about
Oh,
that more.
yes.
What we're
Yes.
going to really focus on today is her crypto revolution and her Thrive Tribe. And so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I'm going to let her explain everything out because who better to do it than the expert, right? And
Exactly.
I'm so excited that she could make it. She's very, very busy, as you could imagine. And she's just such an amazing human being that I can't wait to share her with all of you, with everyone again. So let me bring her on. Her name is Jay, and I'm super excited for her to tell us all about crypto and ask her questions.
Hi.
Cheers, ladies.
Hi, honey.
Oh, cheers.
Hi. so,
How are
so,
you?
so happy to see you.
It's really good to be here, ladies.
So, Jay, everybody wants to know where's your location, what time is now?
I'm Pacific Standard Time. So it's just after 6 o'clock here, and it's gorgeous outside. The sun's actually streaming through the back windows here, so I just shut everything down quickly. I was at risk of looking like an angel.
You still do. You still do. So I am so glad that you're here. I'm on Pacific time too, so it's nice to have someone that's in the same time zone as me for a change. Gloria, you're on the East Coast, right? What time is it by
Yes,
you?
9:20 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Florida.
Nice. So I imagine it's very sunny there too in
No,
Florida.
it's dark already.
It's dark. Oh
Yeah,
well,
it's
it's
dark.
9.
Yes.
But you have sunny days.
Yes, yes. They come down like at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, the sun is already down.
Right on. It's very sunny by me too. I had to shut everything. And it's springtime in the Pacific Northwest. So it's beginning to be the most beautiful time of year. So my
Yes.
spirits are really elevated. It's months of rain here. So it's really nice to see the sunshine.
Today was gorgeous here, like almost 20 degrees. Well, this is different. You guys are in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius. I mean, that's nice for this time of year. So we would, in Canada, we all run outside when it's sunny after the winter and we just, like throw our hands up in the air and just receive the light.
Hey, Angeline, thanks for joining in. And you know what? I know that you cannot wait to hear this because
Yes, I know that.
Angeline joined us and she gave us some information on crypto also last week. So it was sort of like a beginner's, was that last week or the week before? It was recently. And
I
it was
think
like
last week.
was it? And it was really informative. And so this is the second part in our series on cryptocurrency. So I'm really excited to
Me
hear
too.
everything you know. Oh, did it snow?
Wow.
Oh
Oh,
no,
that's
I'm
why it
good
was
on
raining
snow.
here in Florida today because there's coming a cold front. So that's why.
I am good on snow, and it hardly snows here. And I'm good on wintertime. I'm over it. So I have some questions for you, Jay, because I want to get into this because I'm sure everyone is super curious. So tell me, if I knew absolutely nothing about crypto, what would be the first thing you would teach me?
Hmm.
Well, that's an awesome question. First of all, thank you,
Thank
Kia.
you.
Um, well, the more I learn, the less I feel like I know. to be quite
Mm.
honest, because we call it the cryptoverse for a reason. It's a very disruptive technology, the blockchain, which is a new word probably for a lot of people watching, but this is the technology behind cryptocurrency, which is another word for digital assets. And that's just a very small piece of what the blockchain does. So usually where I start people is understanding what the blockchain is. Because if people understand the power of the blockchain, then they understand the power of cryptocurrency. So I have a 20-minute TED talk I send people by Dawn Tapscott. It's on our YouTube channel. It's in all our playlists, everything we send people. We kind of send them like a, it depends on where they want to walk, run or fly, because we also have to know where people are at and meet them where they're at. If people don't know how to turn on a browser or know what a browser is, which is a lot of our older folks, we scale back and we meet them where they're at, and it's a different conversation. If people are really technically savvy and they're already maybe banking online and digitally, it's the gap is much smaller for people to onboard. But the cryptoverse is vast, and so blockchain just lays the foundation. And then I get them watching a couple of documentaries, just so they can start to wrap their head around the language, because it's a new language and it can feel like you're drinking from the fire hose. It can feel like, you're very overwhelmed. And so it's really, really important not to actually take in too much information, because I've seen now for several years what happens is people, hi Jorge, they get very, they feel like it's out of their reach. And this is really, we don't want this in this movement, in this decentralization movement. We want people to feel like it's accessible to them. And with blockchain, in a couple of years, most people will be using it without even knowing they're using it. So the advantage of knowing ahead of time where the market's going, and that it's not the future, as you and Gloria were mentioned, it's the now, then we
Mm.
can position ourselves early. We're still early, believe it or not. Some people think they've missed the boat, but positioning ourselves early allows us to create leverage from the market's continual expansion. It's very disruptive. It's just beginning. And if you can imagine, the blockchain is touted as being bigger than the internet itself. So
Wow. That's incredible. I love that you just said that. I love that you just said that it's not the future, it's the now.
Is the
And
now.
that understanding the blockchain helps you position yourself well for the future. Mm,
yeah, you can
I love that.
understand. I mean, the blockchain, it's another word for it is it's called a truth machine, because
Mhm.
the blockchain is like Internet 3.0. We're all aware of the issues of the internet, the modern day internet. And that's a whole big conversation. I don't want to digress, but we've developed a trust with the internet, a comfort level, a security, maybe just it's familiar. But the internet now is raking us for our personal data in horrible ways that are really, we're lacking, freedom. And because we're so comfortable with it now, most people aren't aware that the data that we're offering up free, no problem, is the biggest commodity right now on the planet. So,
Girl.
we don't only want to
Yes.
protect our money, we want to protect our data. So blockchain has the ability to change completely the way that we live and the way that we work, the way that we completely function. And it is peer to peer and encrypted, and it's on a public ledger. And so it's a very, very massive shift. It's an upgrade in the system, energetically, so to speak, also, because you're moving into a way of living where the paradigm completely changes from it being centric to institutions, the central banking system, into, and don't get me wrong, there's cryptocurrencies out there that will and are very centralized. So that's another, note there we might want to come back and loop into, is the difference between centralization and decentralization in this world. Really important distinction. But many people come in not knowing those distinctions. And so education initially out of the gate, some people get excited. They're like, I'm going to throw some money in, I'm going to get rich, like, unfortunately, I think that's the reputation that it has, of course, because Bitcoin is the biggest asset class ever to exist. So it's easy for people to get dollar signs in their eyes and get excited about becoming millionaires overnight. Is that possible? It's very possible. But I really encourage people to start small. start by learning. Just put a little bit in and start playing and start learning the language. And most importantly, find a community or someone or someone's, a group of people that you can learn with. It's not for the weak at heart, in the sense that it's so fast moving and there's so many things happening within the space. It's exponential. And so it's vital to have a buddy or two or 8 or 30 or 100, which is why we work in community and have for several years now, because we have each other's backs. It's the Wild West in a lot of ways, where you have a lot of money and transformation and new systems. You also get a lot of unsavories. You get the crooks. You get the people who want to take advantage. And I have people call me every day and say, Jay, I want to throw $5,000 in here. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to, and I commend them first for having the courage to step into new territory, which is the unknown for a lot of people. But Wonelli is kind of the first thing I say is, you know what, let's lay the foundation. It's easy to get FOMO when you hear that all these people are doing really well and have changed their lives forever. But a lot of people really lose too, and the last thing we want is people to get involved and have a bad experience and not come back to the table. Because of course, as we know, when people get burned, it's hard for them to get back on the horse. And if they don't know what they're doing, that's pretty easy to do because it's a very volatile market.
I'm also very, I'm pretty new in this too. So this is a question for a lot of people. Have my question. So, for example, people have $50 and want to put it in there, and then they have to just leave it there, or how it work, or how you put it in, you sell it, you get the profit, you buy more. How it is?
So that's a question, but a question. It's let me think of the most simple way to answer that. So yeah, I mean, if you want to take $50, I would say for people that kind of just want to start playing is
Right.
play with the king and queen of coins at first, because they're familiar, they're easily accessible. There's liquidity there, and that's Bitcoin, which we consider the king coin, and Ethereum, which we consider the queen coin. Those are coins that nobody has a crystal ball, but we also do know some facts about those coins that give us the ability to count on the long game. Meaning, if the price goes up and down, it goes that does that over time. That playing the long game, we know the likelihood of winning over time is very likely, and that's because unlike fiat paper currency, government money, which is printed at obscene levels right now, especially since COVID, that a massive amount of quantitative easing, what it does is it lowers our purchasing power. So this is something a lot of people aren't very aware of, is that we aren't having a store of value. We're actually really losing ground really, really, really quick with our currency. So a lot of people are looking at gold or silver or traditional stores of value right now as we see what's happening economically around the globe, especially, the last year, since we've seen about a 33% increase in quantitative easing. It's obscene. I think that's probably the best word. And so when we look at a coin like Bitcoin or Ethereum, we know that there is a limited supply. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, for example. And so there's a huge demand with a limited supply. And anyone who knows a little bit about economics knows that that's a sweet spot. So as more and more people pile into Bitcoin, and the more popular it gets, and the more accessible and mainstream it becomes, because there's only 21 million coins, the value is pretty much destined to rise, failing no major catastrophe with the coin itself. But Ethereum is also a really good bet, because Ethereum, as the queen coin, is considered undervalued. And so as an undervalued coin, we know that in July it's becoming deflationary. This is huge news in the crypto world. And so with Ethereum, you can start to stockpile Ethereum without having to trade it or know what you're doing, but just hodl it. And in the crypto world, that's basically holding it. Hold on for dear life, as we lovingly call it. And then just play the long game. And so that's a great place for people to start. But people need to know how to protect their currency. They need to know how to secure it, because it's one thing to make money, as we all know. It's another thing to build, preserve, and protect it. And it's never been more true as it is with cryptocurrency, because instead of just handing our money over to a bank and saying, here you go, and someone else caring for it, we cut out the middleman and essentially we become our own bank. And so this is a really big shift in sovereignty and freedom, but the responsibility isn't on anyone else. And so that's exciting for a lot of us and completely terrifying for
Yeah, I
others,
was gonna say it could be
right?
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I always say start small, but you really can't go wrong with Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then once people get comfort, they get more comfortable over time, then they can start to venture into altcoins, especially as they start to see some gains and they decide they want to get a little more adventurous. The other thing is that, for example, and I'll just throw one thing out there, I'm always researching new coins, new platforms, new projects, things that excite me. And I would say, don't get involved in something because you think you're going to make money at it solely. Get involved in the things that you get excited about, which is why, watching the documentaries, watching the TED Talk I mentioned on blockchain, watch Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney. If someone can write that in the chat, gold, gold.
Mhm.
Because when
Mm.
you understand the old system that we're moving away from and the system we're evolving into, you get very, very excited about what's possible, especially as a change maker, as I am, or someone who really values what decentralization can do for the people. As you remove power away from centralized authority and institutions, it's a redistribution of wealth, opportunity. And so that excites me. That might not be what draws everyone, but that certainly excites me. So I get drawn to coins like REN, REN, because this is a coin that, will serve the unbanked. The how many countries around the world are there where, people can't get a bank account or have no ability to even understand the concept of what it means to build or create wealth at any level. They can't even get a bank account. So to start to see that we have that ability to do things like that through certain projects and platforms, if you understand the people behind them, the vision, the project, and most importantly, the utility of the coin, what its purpose is, then you're invested in it and you're going to follow it. Because unless you're just hodling, it's really important to follow more deeply and be more deeply connected to cryptocurrency because you're in charge of it and it's changing, ever changing. So you want to hold on to your holy snap handles, put your hands at the 10 and 2 and be ready to go into 4x4 mode. That would be my suggestion. Is it's the wild west still. So that's why there's the importance of a community. And that's, really what we're doing with Crypto Tribe is we run a change maker movement with the economy of decentralization and freedom through this new DeFi economy at the forefront. And so we're really blessed to be able to surround ourselves with freedom fighters and truth igniters and people who want to be the change by living into this new economy on a day-to-day basis. So to give you an example, I just have to go into my desk here and see if I can find it for you girls.
Wow, this is really exciting. What do you think, Gloria?
I know.
I love it. I'm pretty very new on this. I'm gonna read this book because I really, really want to understand this big time.
Okay. So this guy, for example, I'm going to show it here to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing those everywhere now.
Yeah. So it's really heavy. It's gorgeous, but it's a crypto.com card. And we've gotten to the point now where we can spend our crypto, we can buy our gas, we can pay our mortgages, we can buy a coffee, we can do all sorts of things with our crypto. And this is huge. This is revolutionary.
That is huge.
Because we've really bridged the gap of mass adoption now, because just like people would use their bank card or their Visa, now they can leave their principal and just spend the gains. So they can look at it and they can go, oh, today this coin is up or today that coin's up. Well, I'm going to spend some of that. There's different cards and they work differently. But for simplicity's sake, you're really just replacing a debt-based system, which is the fiat system that I spoke about earlier, with a system designed to really, I think, honestly, it's revolutionary to the people because for the first time, people have a real chance at playing the game that usually only the 1% get to play. And our mission is to get wealth into the hands of the luminaries and the leaders, the light workers, the people who are going to steward the planet with love and with care. And so that's why I urge people to stay away from sort of seeing just the money lane, because
Mm-hmm.
we really work now with people who want to take that wealth that they can build with cryptocurrency and do good things with it. And that, again, that's just what excites me. But that's the true long game, is that in 2-3 years, when we're all sitting around the table and we've got plenty of financial abundance and nobody really has to work, the goal of working together is to then say, okay, well, what are we going to do now? What projects do we want to fund? What things do we want to build? What eco communities do we get excited about? And so, that's what drives me. So when people consult with me, I kind of, can't help but get them on the Thrive Tribes train and what we're doing as the Changemaker movement. But for most people, they, fall somewhere between crypto curious. I see Angeline asking, what's the name of the
Mm-hmm.
book?
Did I have it right?
Yes,
The
you
Hidden
you
Secrets of Money.
Hidden
Mm-hmm.
Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
So
see.
if you
I made
guys
it in there.
go to Thrive Tribes TV under the playlist, either Wealth Tribe or Crypto Tribe, yeah, you'll find it there. It's a docu-series. So it's actually 10. And if you go there and you start watching these, even the first 2 or 3, it's a game changer. And for those people that are new to some of the realities about our current debt-based system, it's quite a shocker. The other one, if you really want to understand the shift, because right now we are in the biggest wealth transfer of all time. It's massive what's happening now. We've never seen anything like this before. And I urge people to understand that there's a window right now of
Right,
opportunity to, the wave, the train has left the station,
Mm-hmm.
but you can still get on the train, or the wave is cresting, but you don't want to have to paddle really hard to catch up. Right now you have the ability to learn in the comfort of community and in the comfort of tribe, with like-minded, like-hearted people. And for us, you find your own tribe, whatever resonates with you, and then you run with them and you go with them. And I would encourage you to walk through the door of opportunity that's presenting itself in this revolution. We actually call it lovingly a thrivolution, which is thrive plus solution plus evolution plus revolution. So it's called a thrivolution. Revolution being quick, right? Evolution being slower, but we're always evolving. And then, of course, just adding a little pinch of thrive in there.
okay. I cannot read here.
I got it. I guess I'm more of a novice at this than I thought. I have never trusted group investments, but you mentioned group investments and having people you trust and having each other's backs. Queen coins. And if everybody is looking for that, what are your chances? That's from Tendai, our boy in Texas.
Hi, Tendai. Hmm. So Tendai, because we're not sort of on an interactive call, I mean, I would actually ask you a couple questions, just to kind of find out. I like to meet people where they're at. But if I could kind of distill out what you're saying, um, it's a challenge because we're moving from one system that we've grown up with, that we're very familiar with, into a system that's very different. And so the old ways that we look and relate with and have a relationship with money, and the ways that we interact with it, is very different than it is in this new system, in new finance, new economy, DeFi, the decentralized finance, it's also referred to. Um, you know, it is so much a mind bender in the beginning, because we actually, one of the first things we have to do is let go of what we think we know and wipe the slate clean. And that can be really, really hard because we're such creatures of habit. We bring in our old, notions of the way things are. We compare it with an investment or stocks or things. And we could draw those parallels in some ways, but I hesitate to do that because It's kind of like as soon as you name a tree, and this is the trick that I'm always working with education, but we get so much information that in order to, not be flooded with just stuff and matters of the mind, is that, we start out of a lot of our calls by dropping people in to a different energy, because that's exactly what it is. Some people would call it a different paradigm. The ability to really embrace this system, the more you can let go of the old, the better you can embrace the new. And that's with anything in life, but it's especially like this with cryptocurrency. And so the first thing I would suggest you do is, as best you can, like the old etch a sketches we used to have as kids, is just wipe it clean and take on a real beginner's mind and get crypto curious, right? As soon as you start to get crypto curious about this new, universe, you'll see that there's different planets. And those different planets could be, for example, the opportunity to, what we would say as invest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not a financial advisor. Okay. I do share some of the things that I do, but just as, this is my journey and this is what I do and this is what I share, but I'm definitely not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto, I would say, aficionada and maverick of sorts, because I've come to a place where I'm willing to take chances. As you accumulate more crypto, you become a little more adventurous. But for people who are new, the reason Bitcoin and Ethereum are a good way to go is Bitcoin is like the reserve currency of the cryptocurrency world, right? And Ethereum has its own blockchain, and there's over 1,000 coins on that blockchain. They're very popular, they're very well known, they're very mainstream. So they're a safe bet that way because they're easy to access, and pretty much all platforms, well, certainly Bitcoin, all platforms um, pretty much use Bitcoin, any of the major ones anyways. So that's the base layer. But going back to sort of dropping into the opportunity for the shift into a system upgrade, you have to first pull out the old operating system in order to put in the new operating system. And our minds can get caught up in some of the details. So I suggest loosening the grip on needing to know details in the micro level at first, just at first. And as you get the macro, as you get the bigger picture of what's going on through understanding blockchain and understanding the power, the transformative power of how that will change not only, for example, our voting, right? It's gonna massively change voting. We'll be doing that on the blockchain. There won't be any tampering with it, or the ability to have our records, our medical records, or our mortgages. So everything's moving to the blockchain because it can't be tampered with. So just like that with our cryptocurrency, we're moving into a system where that decentralized payment system allows me to, for example, right now, to send Gloria, boom, right away, instantly, with very, very low fees over the blockchain, in a way that we've never been able to do before all over the world. So it has the power to remove borders.
Mm.
Sorry, my dogs were barking, so I muted myself. Okay, so I've been reading that a lot of countries, some of the third world countries, are using this as already, like, this is how they do business.
Yeah, well, I mean, you take Venezuela. I mean, there's so many countries that have taken really hard financial hits. It wasn't that long ago that Venezuela, overnight millionaires couldn't buy bread. Their currency was literally just like this. It was worth nothing. Situations like that in Africa as well, they don't have the infrastructure, that a lot of the countries of the West have. And so again, actually, case in point, they don't have to dismantle something in order to build something new because they never had the infrastructure in the first place, specifically Africa. So Africa makes a great place to be able to bring in cryptocurrency because there's nothing that they're replacing. They're just building right on, they're like, let's go.
It's amazing.
And all you need is a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
All
It's
you need is a
incredible.
smartphone. So anyone, anywhere in the world, essentially can have access to it. It's a game changer.
So if I want to buy Gloria's house, I can just use my Bitcoin and buy Gloria's house with it.
What kind of house does Gloria have?
It's a really nice house.
Maybe I want to buy Gloria's house. We need to, we're moving in a month and we still haven't found
Oh,
something, but
oh no.
we this is a great question, right? It brings up a lot of really neat ideas and ways that we can explore and adventure, with the concepts. Whistler, which is one of the top ski resorts in the world, arguably, certainly North America. It's close to Vancouver, BC, and I've been up there skiing for a lot of years. I used to ski race up there, and I love it. But real estate is at a premium because they're not making any more land, and Whistler is extraordinary, and it's close to Vancouver. I mean, everybody wants it. And what we're seeing now is this uptrend in people buying houses outright with cryptocurrency. They're not getting a mortgage, they're not going through a bank, they're just going, straight to boom, and the transactions happen instantly. A year ago, more difficult, much more difficult. It's amazing in just a year what has happened.
Hmm.
And I suspect in another year, the mass adoption and the amount of people coming into the space, simply because it's been made easier. It's not this, it doesn't need to be demystified. It's just that transition from going, okay, this is the old system I'm using. It's not as fast. It's not as beneficial. I can't, I'm not earning interest, anymore. It's not as fun. I don't have as many options, to this whole new thing that people are going to be really excited about because it just works better. Now, I'm not talking about any of the downsides yet, because there are some. We should probably do the shite sandwich, right? I like to.
That's right. It's my
Yeah,
favorite.
but the pros, it's a very exciting time to be alive, actually. To look at the long list of pros, what I call roses. There's roses and thorns, but the roses are truly exciting. So I really urge people. I mean, one of my lanes is to get people excited about decentralization, and it's also a level of personal sovereignty that there's so much behind that movement in itself, which is the ability to not be trading time for money. That's big. Creating passive income, multiple streams of income. We a lot of us who've studied this stuff, personal development, Robert Kiyosaki, all the greats. If most
Hmm.
of them now, even Elon Musk, he just threw a
Hmm. A
shiny
large amount.
5 billion in Bitcoin,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But you're seeing this trend of people who are vehemently opposed, suddenly going, okay, all right, well, we can't beat them, we better join them. And we're seeing that more and more. So Elon Musk, I think, was kind of the cherry on the top when he put in 1.5 billion. But it's waking people up to realize this isn't going away. And then when they start to study it, they catch the bug. And once people catch the bug, they're not sleeping. People stop. They phone me all the time. You warned me I'd stop sleeping. I didn't believe you. I said, yeah.
That's hilarious.
So we're gonna get to a point in our lives in the future that everybody's gonna have that coin and no more the money that we have now today.
Well, that's a great question, Gloria. The thing is, we're already there. Like, arguably, I mean, 98% probably generous. We're 99% digital already.
But
So,
but but but
where
also for
it's our, yeah.
but also before I forgot, but also to have that coin, you have to have the traditional money to buy that coin.
Well, I better be careful what I say here. But, we haven't used a bank account for a very long time. In the beginning, harder, right? But now, um, digital nomads, people all over the world, they don't use cash. Um, do most people get into it that way? Absolutely. Yeah, of course, because you have to get into it at some point, some way. That's sort of the entry, the buy-in. But then once people get in, here in Canada, we call them RRSPs. In the States, you call them 401ks. We joke around, we call them registered retirement ripoff plans because, people are losing. And when they look at their neighbors who are playing the crypto game, pretty much across the board, their neighbors are winning. So people are waking up to realizing, why would I continue to keep my money in a system that, again, I won't mince my words, we call the Titanic. You can't print money for that long and that much.
Mm.
There's a lifespan of about 100 years for a currency, and the US dollar is pushing 120 years. So
Mhm.
we're pushing the bubble, 20 years past its expiry date. And again, this is a big conversation, but it's very, there's artificial support supporting that bubble. So the question is, how much longer can we go? And there's a lot of experts out there that say we're so overdue, we are so ready to burst. You know, and I'm like the most optimistic person you'll
But
ever
but
meet, so I'm really
but Jay also
gentle how I. Mhm.
I also somebody is receiving the cash, like the traditional money, because like I said, for you to have that money, you have to invest. You have to get the traditional money to buy that coin. So somebody is getting that money.
Yeah,
So
well, you're not buying it. So that's something that I need to make sure that is clear in people's minds. It's an exchange of value.
okay,
You're taking money out of one currency, fiat,
okay,
typically, and you can, for example, you could put it into gold, right, which is considered a store of value and goes up, typically depending on where you are. Let's just say 10% on average per year, up and down, but over time. And then it's, it holds its value. It doesn't lose its purchasing power. So
okay,
not if, but when the US dollar, completely, loses all of its purchasing power. And we're looking at about 99% of its purchasing power is already lost. When it loses its purchasing power, we don't have the ability to then store the value anywhere because the value's gone. So there is an urgency. So, you know, cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, are considered the new stores of value, right? We've heard of Bitcoin referred to as digital gold. And that's because now the asset class that it has proven itself to be, it's now, it's been legal tender in Japan since 2017. There's all sorts of articles you could read that show its market cap and what it's done as an asset class and what it continues to do, that gives big financial moguls the confidence to call it the new store of value. Now, arguable, definitely arguable. There's lots of people that would argue that point. But from what I've seen over time so far, I certainly think that it's a better option than keeping your hard-earned money under the mattress or in the bank.
right, okay,
Most people don't know that there's something called a bail-in law where the bank can go in and actually take your money out of your account. This happened in Cyprus. And you'd be surprised how many countries the bail-in laws are in effect. And they're not going to, help the people. They're going to help the institutions. We saw that in 2008. And that's just the way the world goes, right? They take care of the institutions and keep them afloat as best they can. Maybe they have a sacrificial lamb like Lehman Brothers. Oh, you're,
Mm-hmm.
but generally
Too
everyone got
too big
bailed out.
to fail. That's
Yeah.
that whole thing. Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's such a big conversation. I'm trying to like give enough depth that people can sink their teeth into it, but not too much that we go down like massive rabbit holes. But it's a
Fair
great
enough.
question, Maria. Mhm.
Fair enough.
I can
So
understand now a little bit what you just said. Like before, I was confused, but you just I like a click a little bit what you
Here's a
mean.
good example is that looking at Bitcoin's history, and we'll just speak of Bitcoin because it's the king coin. It's the coin that everybody knows. It's kind of like we don't call, you know, Kleenex tissue paper. We call it Kleenex, right? But it's not Kleenex, that's the brand. Well, Bitcoin is the brand, but it's called cryptocurrency, and there's lots of different coins. But most people who think about cryptocurrency, they think that Bitcoin is cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's now at a point where it's on, we're using it across the board. And I could give multiple examples, and certainly I can come back on again and we can do that, that prove its value, its use case, and how it's a storage of value. And remember, we're not buying it, we're just exchanging one fiat paper currency for another type. So we're just moving the value into another asset. Now, if that asset goes down and we want to pull it out, then we've lost money. That is true. But typically, most people who are getting in and they're new, they're holding. And so if it goes down a little bit, they wait, it retraces, and then they wait for it to go back up. And if they're playing the long game, they would pull it out, when it goes back up, if they pull it out at all. If they're using it as a store of value, they're holding their hard-earned cash in an asset that they pretty much have bet on that it's going to go the distance. And most people understanding supply and demand with the Bitcoin 21 million and the project that is Ethereum. Well, you can't call it a project anymore. It's no longer a teenager. It's now a full blown, behemoth. There's over 1,000 coins and developers on that blockchain, and it's like the 800-pound gorilla. It just keeps expanding. So if you're going to bet on a horse, most people are not betting on the fiat horse. They know that ship has sailed and it's sinking, right? Yeah.
So
Wow.
Tendai wants to know who regulates this. Who regulates this currency to make sure it's fair?
Where's Tendai from?
Texas.
Texas. Okay. So the United States is one of the toughest. The SEC, they don't like it. They don't like it one little bit.
Like it. No.
Okay.
I bet not, right?
They don't like it.
Even a little.
Well, the banks don't like it. We're talking about some serious direct competition. It's changing now, but it wasn't that long ago that you would, and there's a lot of banks that still won't allow you to buy cryptocurrency. And you know what, pros and cons. Some of the banks do it because they're like, ooh, if we let people start to get into cryptocurrency, we're going to lose them, number one. But some of them also know that 99% of the stuff out there are scams. Let's not be mistaken here. This is not, fairy tales and unicorns, this whole cryptocurrency thing. 99% of the stuff out there is a scam. So people should be weary and people should be leery to get involved. And if you hear all these horror stories, it's because they're true. It's changing. And so the desire for regulation is there for a lot of people. They want that drive towards regulation. It's inevitable. It's the evolution of cryptocurrency. However, having said that, this is where I can bring up a key differentiator and something that everyone getting involved needs to know. Yeah, Angeline, exactly. So we've got centralized cryptocurrencies. For example, let's talk about, I'm always careful about what I talk to when I start talking about this stuff. You do have to be a little bit diplomatic, but China's just come out with a central bank digital currency, right? And this is very centralized. And there's a term called surveillance capitalism. And this is something we all have to be very careful with. And Angeline, absolutely, you have to step into the space with people who know. This is key. Especially if you're a trusting person, because people may seem really, well-meaning. And, I talked earlier about watching your back. This is why you get involved with people who, get to know them over time, know what their intentions are, know their track history, what are they doing. But centralized situations, even Facebook, some of you may have heard of the Libra coin. It was it was a big news story. That's very centralized. Pros and cons, it's kind of, you could consider it a token, like you'd use in a game. Fun, yay. Those of us who are purists, we would say no bueno. We would say no bueno. You really, ultimately, the beauty of cryptocurrency is that it's decentralized. True, real cryptocurrency is fully decentralized, which means that there is no bank, boss, or government in between you and what you're creating and what you're doing. And this is true empowerment. This is huge. So the surveillance capitalism that's happening, and the data mining, and the lack of privacy, and it's shocking when you start to understand the amount of freedom that we're giving up, that is our information. Like I said,
absolutely,
going back to our data and its value. It's the number one commodity in the world.
Absolutely.
Now, yeah, the financial aspect of our lives, if all of a sudden we can be tracked and traced, and every little penny that we spend can be seen by the government or the bank, or already with the bank, that's the case. What we're talking about with cryptocurrency is autonomy and privacy, right? Equity. It's peer-to-peer, and it's really nobody else's business what you're sending to, Gloria across the world, or down to Texas. And so it's really important to understand that as soon as you take your cryptocurrency and you put it on a platform or put it into a project that's centralized, you risk them running off with your crypto. And we see this happening all the time. People don't realize. And sometimes we put our crypto in centralized projects, but it's more like going to the casino. high risk, high yield, but high risk of them running off with your crypto. But we do that to, play, to have fun, because you can earn a lot. They're high yields, but you have to know the market. And there's a ton of new projects popping up right now that are high risk, high yield. And if you guys go and look at our YouTube, we feature a lot of videos warning you of which ones will do that. So if you're going to play them, just know you're at the casino. And if you stay long enough, you're going to leave with nothing. So it's just knowing that, right? So we really steer new people towards fully decentralized projects where, if you're, say, generating using an Ethereum generator as an example, we know people who are doing this on smart contract. It goes straight into their wallet. Nobody else owns their crypto or holds their crypto. So smart, essential, in my opinion. And we know people who've, massively grown their Ethereum to 800 Ethereum in 3 months. Mind-boggling, on a smart contract. So that begs the question, what's a smart contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is like,
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many questions that because I've been just listening so intently that I've been forming so many questions, but I'm going to hold on to mine. So John missed the beginning. And since I love John so much, I'm going to ask you to repeat your tip on how to get started.
Okay. Hi, John.
I'm,
Nice to
I'm going
see
to
you,
guess
brother.
join Thrive Tribes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not everyone's going to resonate with our movement, um, and I always say find your tribe. For us, we're a change maker movement. So our crypto tribe is one of the 12 sectors or 12 tribes that we drive change through. We're solutionaries, we like to call ourselves. And so, of course, the crypto actually is the economy. It's the driver of the movement. So coming in and coming into our community, of course, if people resonate with me or with us and our team and all the amazing people we attract, my God, we've got these amazing people. Then come join us. I'm sure Kia will I
Oops.
can get you some links in the show notes where people can go and they can plug in, because really it's like everything. It's like what you guys do. It's what you do with London Real, Kia.
Uh-huh.
If people are going to get out of things what they put in, and if they educate themselves and they learn the foundations. Okay, so for example, the first place John, knowing you and knowing what a lifelong learner you are with a growth mindset, the first thing I would tell you to do is I'd tell you, go see my friend, Sean Maloney, who owns something called Digital Business Masters. Shameless plug for Sean. It's only because I love him so much. But he educates people on a very small group basis. And it's like $129. It's worth its weight in gold, but it lays the foundation because people need to know how to get a wallet. They need to know how to protect their coins. That's a big deal. That's, numero uno in the crypto world, is understand how to protect your assets. So, taking the course, Sean, and we have this course that it runs through our crypto tribe as well. And I encourage everyone to take it. It's 6 weeks. And by the end of it, you have your backpack, you have your map, you have your water bottle. You're like, let's go to Everest. And you're like, bring it. Whereas if you don't do that course or you don't educate yourself, you're kind of like looking up and you're like, Mount Everest? No, thanks. I think I'll go back to my couch. So that's what I would say, John, being a lifelong learner, is Digital Business Masters and his course on digital assets and blockchain and how to lay the foundations. And then once or you come into our tribe, and our tribe helps people to get wallets and know what exchanges, what platforms, because all over the world it's different in every country because of those little regulations we talked about earlier, or just different access to different coins on different platforms. Like if you try to go out there and figure it out on your own, you'll be studying a lot of blogs and YouTube videos, and it will take you a very long time.
right.
People like us, we don't do that. We go to Brian Rose and we say, give us your 10 years of wealth and wisdom, and I will pay you to give me the accelerated version. And that's really what people like me do, and Sean does, and our tribe of people does, is we just meet people where they're at, and then we help them to on ramp and have fun with it depending on what their goals are. You know, if people are like, my riskometer, I'm like, I'm super risky frisky. Bring it, let's go. Then we're gonna get them into different things, especially if they have maybe more money to play with. But there's some people, you know, they don't have a lot to play with. So if
Right.
that's the case, you know, it's a different map. You know, we have the same kind of destination, but definitely a different map. I mean, it's not a one size fits all. The only thing that I would say is a one size fits all is go get some Bitcoin and Ethereum. You really can't go wrong at this stage with those two coins. And we call them the queen coin, that's Ethereum, and Bitcoin, which is the king coin. And John, Bitcoin is considered the reserve currency of the cryptocurrency world. So just hodl. That's another term for hold. Just, you know, so as they go up and down, you just play the long game. And that's a great start. And then you can get a little app. You can look on coinmarket.com and just start looking at the top 10 coins, the top 25 coins, start to get a sense for what they do. Get Blockfolio, you know, start to follow what you've got and what you own, and you get more connected and attached. It's really easy for people in the cryptocurrency space to hear a tip. I'll give you guys one right now. Couple, because why? Because I can. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. These are just ones that a lot of us, you know, think are probably going to go to the moon and do really, really well. You know, AGA is a big coin. Will it? We don't know for sure. But if you understand the project and you look behind what it's capable of and the utility of it, you get really, really excited. You know, Tron, low, coins that are low. Like the thing about Bitcoin, Bitcoin's done its big run. You know, if it goes from 60,000 to 100,000, which it's likely to do, you know, certainly by the end of this year, that's not a huge gain actually. It's actually a more conservative play. But if you get in on a coin, and we know lots of them right now, lots of them. That's why the crypto tribe is so fun and juicy. And I always tell people, listen to your intuition, do your due diligence, you know, follow your line, you know, don't just go in and, you know, put money in somewhere because I said so or because someone else said so.
Right.
Um, but get crypto curious and start to go, okay, so why are people excited about ADA? You know, why are people excited about BNB? You know, what is it about that coin that people are so excited about? That coin, for example, the Tron coin, I think it's sitting at about 4 cents right now. It's always changing, but it's low. Well, that goes from 4 cents to $1, which is really darn likely, or $1 to $10, or $10 to $100. Your 4 little cents that you got that coin at, you're sitting pretty. So, so it's really fun when you start to play and you start to feel more comfortable with DJing your crypto, we call it. Yeah.
So Alexandra says, what's the deal with theta?
Oh, where's Alexandra's from?
He's from New York.
So there's there's about 10 different platforms, projects, coins right now. Let me answer this way, Alexandra. Is first of all, come and play with us in Crypto Tribe so that you can really get involved in some of these juicy conversations, because you get, you know, some of my comrades who've been in the trenches, you know, and we hash it out. Because here's the thing, the way I look at certain things, the way my comrades, my partner, my right hand woman in crypto, you know, we all have a bit of a different take depending on what our framework is and what our goals are and what we want to get. If you want to see gains, you know, you're going to talk to my pal Alessio. You know, he's getting people into master nodes and staking, and you know, he's a big miner, crypto miner, which is basically, you know, you're printing, you have your own money tree in the backyard, really, literally. And so, you know, there's the heavy hitters, and then there's the people who, you know, want to be more conservative. The riskometer is really low, and then you've got the dabbling. And I could go deep into theta and deep into all sorts of things, but there, without knowing what your goal is, or kind of knowing my perspective on how I look at projects and how I glean them, or how I, you know, sort of determine whether they're for me or my family or for you or not, it's such a personal journey. It's like, I'm excited about Ren because I think helping the unbanked is so badass, but that is not going to excite everybody, you know? So I think it's a really hard question to ask. It's kind of a personal question. I'd have to ask you more questions. and getting to know a little bit about my perspective. And I'd love you to hear my team's perspective too. There's some value there in opposing viewpoints, and you will get in crypto. You talk to 10 different people, you'll get 10 different opinions. So
Like the
you're
Jay,
stock
welcome.
market.
I don't know how
yeah.
helpful that was, but it's the truth.
So Jay, what people need to do to join your tribe?
Well, because here's the thing. In cryptocurrency, we often are on Telegram or Signal or in places where, you know, it's more private, but we also want more mass adoption. So we've landed ourselves on Facebook from a business perspective so that we can be more accessible. So what we've decided to do for now, until Thrive Tribes is on the blockchain, and we have our own cryptocurrency that we're working on right now, which is so dang exciting.
That is exciting, girl.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
so
going to ask
exciting.
you about that actually.
Yeah, it's cryptocurrency is a real connector of like minds, and I've just met some of the most extraordinary people all over the world. But to answer your question, is go get into the Facebook group. That's the best place because it's intimate. You're getting, we're posting stuff in there that we don't post. It's private.
Right.
Getting invites to private Zooms, invites to our podcast, Crypto Tribe Live, special guests, the ability and the opportunity to have Q&A. And it's fun. And again, we really allow, we don't get hypey. I do my best, even if I'm really excited about stuff, just to like not get hypey. Because the last thing I want to do is and it's hard when you're excited not to be, I really have to kind of, when I get really excited about certain things, but I want people to really find their own excitement within it. It's such a personal journey, and it's a growth journey. I've never seen people grow more than I have when I see people enter cryptocurrency. And it's kind of, I'm sure, like it is in London Real. Like they become your comrades, like your brothers and sisters in arms. Like when you enter the space at first, you're like totally newbie and green. And then you start to grow and you get your training wheels off and you just develop such a sisterhood and a brotherhood with the people you're traveling with. And as you build your abundance in cryptocurrency and build more of a sense of freedom, not only with decentralization, but with the sovereignty that comes from financial freedom and abundance, is you really don't want to do that alone. You want your friends to have wealth along with you, right? So it becomes
Right.
something that you share with people that you want on your journey with you. You're not going to not tell the people you love and care about. Now, does that mean everyone's going to want to play? No. In fact, a lot of people aren't ready for it, and that's okay. But my crypto tribe is my family. They know me in a way that nobody knows me. They kind of know that part of me that comes up against the blocks, as abundance begins to flow, or conversely, as you lose. Because it's not if, it's when you lose and you're like, oh no. And we just took a really big hit recently, and I was like, oh. But when you're playing the long game, you put it into perspective and you just keep learning and you get back up again and you keep going. Because if you're not willing to try, you're not going to learn. So that's
Right.
why in the beginning you start small. You just play and you learn and you play and you learn. And then you get to a point where you leave your principal in, you pull out your equity, and you play with house money. So you're never risking losing money. And that's really what we like to do right away with people, because then they get a little bolder. They're willing to make bigger decisions when they're playing with house money and not money, that if they lose it, they're going to take the cheese off the macaroni. That's not fun. And that's
Right.
not fun for us to work with people with that type of stress. So if people don't have a lot of play money, we help them to find ways where they can create cash flow first and foremost so that they can start to get in. So there's lots of different ways we help people create cash flow. And we have 3 different pillars. The first one is working on smart contracts with crowdfunding and crowd sharing, which is huge right now. The whole concept of, I versus we, no longer the I'm in it all alone mentality. It's the let's do it together mentality. And that's so exciting right now. And then it's moving people into the opportunities to get into mining. This is big right now, and it's becoming increasingly more difficult because so many people are wanting to get into mining, but the parts aren't available. So if that's something people are interested in, it's a pretty solid. It's a solid. It requires a little bit higher You have to have like between $3,000 and $6,000 to get started in that. But you can also refer people to certain companies and get a referral commission. And that's actually a really good point for some people who are like, oh, I don't have any money to work with. Everything in cryptocurrency is referral. Everything. I haven't seen one thing that isn't, because the one thing that the cryptocurrency world is really based on is a network and an ecosystem. And so let's say, for example, one of the things is Shake Pay. If you're a Canadian, I think, John, you're Canadian, right? If memory serves.
I think so.
So
Yeah, yeah,
Shake Pay
yes.
would be a great place for you to start. But here's the thing, you don't just go sign up for it when you're in the crypto world and you're in a community, because you would know that you get $25 in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency to spend. And so would I if you had my link. And so you start to scratch each other's backs and pay it forward. And if you do that with 4, 6, 8, 10 people, that's $200, right? $200 can turn into 1,000, which can turn into 4 and 8 and like that really, really quick. So there's always opportunities for people to get in when they understand that it's a very much a pay it forward and we're all in it together shift in paradigm and mentality. And I love that. I just love that about it, that it's not inaccessible. Even the mining, people sometimes pool together 6 people to get a mine and they just start. And then once they start, then the ball's rolling. And the hardest part is getting that rocket off the ground. It's just always that first step. So I would say the first step is find a community, get yourself a wallet, build the relationships that are required to be in your bunker. Think, who would I want in my bunker? And then those are the people you want on your crypto journey with you. And then get yourself some Bitcoin and Ethereum and start watching them, and then build up your courage to explore and play more.
I hear you. My dogs were barking again. Sorry. But that's so exciting. I love this conversation. We have 1 hour and 7 minutes. So it's about that time we're gonna wrap it up. But I just have one more little question for you before we wrap the show up. And that is, I know that you said that you consider yourself an aficionado, right? How did you develop this affection for crypto to begin with?
It's getting hot in here. I have fan envy right now. Oh, Gloria, you're killing me. You're killing me. Oh gosh, that's such a great question, Kia. Well, the Coles Notes version, because the clock's ticking. Because that's actually a really big story. But the Coles Notes, Reader's Digest version, is that we had decided quite some time ago that we wanted to make an income online. We had this really wonderful, juicy dream, my husband and I, that we wanted to travel the world and live the laptop lifestyle and educate our children abroad. And just such a juicy dream. So we started that journey by moving to Mexico from Canada. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And we were speaking Spanish and all the good things. But you guys know life, right? Life can get lifey. And yeah, you make a plan and God laughs, So life has more imagination than we do. And we had a hurricane hit Mexico, Hurricane Odile in 2014. It was a doozer. It was like level 4, pushing level 5. And I was pregnant with my 3rd child. And so we crash landed back in Canada to have a baby and find a doctor and do the thing, thinking that we would make our way back to Mexico. And we fell in love with where we are. And but there wasn't any work where we landed, where my family lives. It's in the Okanagan Valley, which is like the Napa Valley of Canada. And it's sort of lovingly called the Brokenogan because it's beautiful, but there's not a lot of work. And if there's work, it's low pay. So it was either we, like figure this online thing out, or we, go back to, plan B. And we figured it out. And we got ourselves a community. We found ourselves some great mentors, and we studied the heck out of it. I will, in more depth, maybe on another call or in our Crypto Tribe community, I speak a little bit more about some of our beginnings. They were painful. more painful than it is to start now. I wish I had a me. I wish, holding my hand, I wish I had a crypto tribe. But I didn't. And so it was a lot of just knowing. It was an intuition to know that this was an idea whose time had come, that it was not the future, that it was here. And the prompting and the pull was so strong. I needed to know more. And along the journey, there's just certain aha moments, things that clicked inside of me, inside of my soul, where I went, this is going to change the world. And I need to know everything I can know about it. And it's not just going to change the world, it's going to change our life. It's going to bring in the abundance and the freedom that we can then share with our friends and family and our community, and really get this change maker movement to a whole other level. And I'm not saying you need, tons of capital to start a movement or to do things, but it does give you choice. And I was very clear, I wanted the freedom and the choice, the time freedom, to be able to live wherever we wanted to live, and to to live a limitless life. And with cryptocurrency, you study this stuff, you lay the framework, and you do the work, and you learn and you study. It's only a matter of time before you're successful.
That's amazing. And such good advice. What do you think, Gloria? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I have a question for you
Going the
before we
whole
go.
night.
So you said that to mine is you start with $6,000 to mine?
Well, no, an entry level miner is 3.
Okay.
And that's an Ethereum miner. And what's nice about the Ethereum miners, Gloria, is that we call them chameleon miners, because you can actually not just mine Ethereum, you can switch to mine any coin on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, that for some people who are new, that wouldn't totally translate, but that basically means you can go, okay, I don't want to have US dollars anymore, I want to have pounds, or I want to have, francs. In the cryptocurrency world, unlike traditional fiat currency, these coins are going up. So if we see an upward trend in a particular coin, we make a call, they flip the switch and start mining another coin, which, by the way, the machines are hosted. That's the other game changer. In the past, you would have had to have been like a tech superstar or a, computer science genius, or someone really savvy to mine. You'd have to, host them yourselves. And if they broke down, you'd have to figure it out. Well, now they host them for you. A lot of them solar farms. And so you pay a hosting fee, and you don't have to know anything about it. You just have to be able to check your, coins that you're earning and accumulating and generating every month. But you can just go, okay, let's switch it from Ethereum to whatever coin on the Ethereum blockchain you'd like to mine. It's a game changer, Gloria. Truly is. It's like, the old saying, your money doesn't grow on trees. Well, now we joke that, well, actually, if you have a miner, it does. It's like a money printing machine. And I actually did an interview on Crypto Tribe Live today on mining. So if people want to learn more about it, we can put that in the show notes and people can learn about mining. It's actually it's very, how do you say? Well, it's like you're owning a rig, right? It's a rig. Men love it. Men love the mining, because who doesn't want to own a rig, And it's pretty much a no-brainer. Once you've, made your original return on investment, the rest is just gravy. And that's just a beautiful passive income for people that right now is serving a lot of people. People can start with one mine, but they won't let you buy more than 10. And they do that because they want to keep the playing field fair, because they don't want people with a lot of money coming in and buying up all the machines. They do want the little guy to get in there and get a chance, which I love. I love, because it'd be easy for wealthy people to come in and go, I'll take 1,000. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. And they would do it.
Yeah, it's not the point. And I love that. That's really special. So, there's an access point for everyone. And our goal is to help people wherever they're at to be able to get in and start to get their piece of the pie. Because at the end of the day, if we're in the biggest wealth transfer of all time, you don't want to look back and regret what you didn't do, right? I think it's, if you're scared, if it's the unknown, if it's this big scary world, then just come and meet some friends, and hear their experience. And it demystifies itself when you talk to real life people and they're willing to give you the shit sandwich. Like, they'll tell you it's not all roses and fairies and unicorns, and they'll tell you, this is what what my experience is. And you find the people you resonate with at the point in the journey where you need them, and then at some point maybe you outgrow them until you're ready to do something else. The people I now connect with are the people out there, you know, at the forefront of innovation, who are doing things on this planet that just blow my mind. And we're about to speak as a tribe at Evolutionary Festival, April 21st to 26th, talking about the Thrivevolution and decentralized autonomous organizations known as DAOs, DAOs, that Thrive Tribes is. And it's really, it's the evolution of the new earth reality. It's what we're living into that's not focused on the problems, it's focused on the solutions. And let's just say it this way, it's nice to move into a space of people that are hopeful for the future, and they are living into something that they feel so positive about because they're creating it. They're not, standing by, they're not bystanders. And the best way to create the future, or to know what's coming in the future, is to create it and do it with people you love and adore. So I think that's probably the best way to put it, right? Yeah, come on
I
aboard.
think so. I think so. That sounds amazing. This has been so, so informative. I absolutely
Yes.
want the link so that I can put this in the show notes in the description of this episode so that people can go and check out more information on mining, because it sounds really interesting to me. And that was one of the questions I had. But unfortunately, we are out of time for my questions. But it was great to just hear someone with so much knowledge share what they know
Yeah.
so abundantly. So I loved that so much. So we will have to invite you back, and so we can share more time with you. But for now, thank you so much for coming, Jay. Will you tell us quickly, before I put you in the green room, where we can find you? I know it's Thrive Tribes on Facebook. I put up the Instagram. So Thrive
Honestly,
Tribes.
I love personally connecting with people, and
Yeah.
I mean, just message me privately, on my Facebook Messenger, Jay Onofrey, Jai Onofrey, Onofrey, because then I'll know where you're going to be best served. We really want to meet people where they're at. We have 12 tribes, in the 12
Mm-hmm.
different sectors of humanity. It's a powerful, ecosystem. And the greatest service that I mean, my role within what's going on is, I'm a connector, but I really feel that this is a platform where people can come and they can find there's a home for everyone. Like, there's a place for everyone. So I really like to find out where people are at, and then go, okay, great. So this is where we'll put you. And I'm not often wrong, because I've just gotten to know that people they don't want to be alone. They don't want to do this stuff
Absolutely.
on their own. We're not meant to be
No.
alone. We're not
No.
meant to struggle through. And we've been in a culture, where we've been in this individualistic, independent. We've really, put that on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that we are dethroning that whole premise. That, let's do it together. And so just private message me and we'll get you sorted out. And I'll get you a couple different links though, Kia and Gloria, so that, people can kind of find the Facebook. If they're really interested in crypto, join the Crypto Tribe Thrive Hub. That's our Facebook group. But Thrive Tribes Global on Facebook is where we have all the tribes, the news feed for all the tribes. So that's another good spot. But the groups are where it's at. Each tribe has its own group. So Thrive Tribes Global, our mothership that houses all the tribes, there's an actual group if you go under groups, and that's the mothership. So that's where I would go if you love the idea of a change maker movement. And we got it the next time. We didn't even get to it, the change maker coin. But join us on the Evolutionary Festival too. I would love to see people really digging in and just supporting this incredible shift that's happening on the planet in such a positive way. And I'll give you those details as well. So
Yeah, give those to me because people will want to know where to find it. And before we go, run down all the different names of the tribes so that everyone knows what they'll find when they go to Thrive Tribes Global, in case the crypto's not your
yeah,
thing.
oh my
Maybe, but you
gosh.
love Jay and what she's doing.
And also,
Well,
if you see the show, today, and Jay wants to know where you get the information. You can say Gloria, Kia, Ojo Topics, whatever, so she knows that you watch the show, and she knows where you're coming from, and you are like serious about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Our core tribes are based in a very powerful geometry. I'll say for right now. So I'll kind of tell you the 7 core tribes. Our health tribe, wealth tribe, okay, and crypto tribe is a sub tribe of that. Eco tribe, which is all about the environment. We've got our boss tribe, which is for entrepreneurs. Kind tribe, because at the end of the day, as simple as it is, kindness changes the world. That's our, like, if you want to go feel good.
That's like my tribe. That's
Yeah, no, we
the
love
one
it.
I belong in.
It's like it's
Yes.
it's your happy place. And but if you go to Thrive Tribes Global, you'll see, the posts. And then if you're really drawn, we say find your Thrive tribe, right? You go and you find the tribe or tribes that you resonate with the most. Usually it's 1 or 2. For those of us that are pretty multidimensional, it's 4 or 5 or 6. But if you're in Thrive Tribes Global, you're really participating in the movement as a whole. The reason we suggest people get into sub tribes is because maybe they're into permaculture, and so they have something to contribute, or they have a business, or they have a product or something that is Thrive Tribes approved, and so they come onto the platform. And we really love to support entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, people who are out there doing good things. We want to vote with our wallet for the people and projects and businesses that we believe in. So we pool our
I love
resources
that.
together.
Awesome.
I absolutely love that. And I love to see how it's growing and doing such amazing things. Since I first learned about what you were going to be doing and watched it grow and launch, it's just an incredible journey that you're on. I'm so happy for you. As a former student of mine, I'm super proud of you. And I just saw this for you, and I see where it's going, and I know it's going to just keep going and growing and becoming more and more amazing. So, Jay, thank you for being our guest. We'll have you back. I love you to pieces. It's great to see you. And I'm going to put you in the green room. And if you have to go, we understand. If you can, we'll say goodbye after the show. How about you,
Gloria,
Gloria?
muchísimas gracias. Hasta la próxima.
Hasta la próxima,
Yeah,
mi
thank you.
vida. Chao, un
Yeah, Mama
besito.
Kia. Mama
Gracias.
Kia.
Love, so much love. So much
Chao,
love.
princesa. Chao.
Oh my goodness. Look at all the love in this place. Like, I just love her. And that's a fact. So I hope that was really educational for me and for you, Gloria, and for everyone who spent an hour and 22 minutes of their life with us to learn about crypto and hear Jay speak. What do you think?
Kia, we should maybe think about saving money and make Hot Topics mine.
We're going to make our own coin. You heard
Yeah.
it here first. We're doing it. So, Jay,
I think
I
we
need your
should,
help.
save money and start mining.
Right. That's what we're doing. So, anyways, it's about that time for us to wrap up the show.
Yes.
And oh, look at this. This was really sweet. Don Jackson said, Jay, you rock. That she does rock.
Awesome.
She
Yes,
does
she
rock, Don
does.
Jackson. Okay, so with that, we're going to say goodbye to you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday and Thursday. Set your notification so you know when we come live. We have lots of amazing guests like Jay every single week doing big things and trying to create good in the global community. And we just have fun doing it. So I'm Kia Baker. I am the creator of the Female Veterans Podcast. You can listen to that anywhere you listen to podcasts. I am now on Amazon and iHeartRadio and Pandora, as well as all the other platforms. So I'm growing, and success coach at London Real Academy. And I'm always joined by this amazing, talented, loving, sensational woman, Gloria Goldberg.
That's me. Thank you, Kia.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, this is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And the founder and the creator of the bilingual show, The Gloria, that tomorrow it's Fridays 2 p.m. Eastern time. One Friday in Spanish, one Friday in English. Tomorrow is in Espanol, and we're gonna be with a spiritual healer from Dominican Republic. So I can wait to interview her, and we're gonna talk about also about depression and the spiritual way.
That is amazing. Wow. I'm so excited for you. I
So
know
Kia,
that she was incredible before
Yanni,
with you,
yes.
Yanni. So I remember the story about her. So I'm super excited for you to be able to share her gifts with everybody.
Yes, she is wonderful. And Kia, how many spots that you have for your training? Because you're doing a private training right now, like coaching.
Yes. Well, I have launched my private coaching and I have two spots left because I'm keeping it very, 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 very small. And it's a lot about accountability and creating strategies to make sure that you actualize on your goals as quickly as possible. That's what it's about. So it's taking everything I learned from coaching over, I don't know, 1,000 people now at London Real Academy and working with my mentor, Brian Rose, and my coach, Christina Castaneda, and taking all of the skills and experience. And I've created my own sort of style. And it's really helping people. And so people reached out to me and asked me to coach them privately. So I went all in, created something really special, and I'm keeping it small. So I will only do 8 people max because, of course, I full-time coach at London Real Academy, and that could be 30, 60, 100 people at a time. So
Yes.
that's a lot of energy, right? So this little select group of people will get a lot of attention from me and a lot of support and assistance and nurturing so that they can achieve their goals as quickly as possible. And so I'm excited to be launching that. It launched today. And so I had my first coaching meeting with a private client today, and I'm super excited. It went really, really good, and we're off to the races. So if you're interested
Awesome.
in that, send a message to our Hot Topics Live Facebook page, direct message, private message, DM us essentially. If you're watching on YouTube, then just go to our Facebook page and send me a DM through our Facebook account, and I'll reach out to you and we'll see where you're at and I'll meet you
Awesome.
there.
Awesome.
So that's what's going on with that. Um, as always, don't forget to follow us on at Hot Topics the podcast on Instagram and set your notifications, like, share, and subscribe, and follow, of course, if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Pick your poison. You know what to do on each platform, right? So do that wherever you're watching this. And thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. Have a great night and see you next week.
See you next week.
All right.